One of the reasons why people suffer in the Caribbean so much with pregnancy loss is because it's so hushed and we don't talk about it. So we really want to have as many voices as possible. Our stories are not the same. So it just add yours. It doesn't take away anything. And if people have more options in the market, all the better for us who are really focused on teaching people to heal and helping people heal.
Book publishing has many paths, and just figuring out where to go at each stage can be confusing. But with insights and guidance from author experts just like us, you can tackle the writing process competently and be assured that the goal of being a published author is within reach. Welcome to the Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit, the place for Caribbean authors to shine. With each staging of our summit, leading Caribbean author experts at home and in the diaspora share their stories and strategies to win with books beyond book sales. In the process, aspiring and published authors are inspired and lives are transformed. The Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit will ensure that fewer books die in the minds of their authors, more manuscripts become published legacies, and precious lives are transformed with the turn of each page. In 2023, get ready to leverage, market, and build a lasting legacy with your books and win with books beyond book sales. See you there. Greetings, entrepreneurs. Welcome to the first podcast episode for 2023. I trust that you had a good Christmas holiday, and I pray that 2023 will be better than you dreamed. For those who are just joining us for the first time, the Authorpreneur Secrets podcast is a show that gives you the roadmap to take charge of your publishing as an independent author, and we share with you some strategies and stories to dominate authorpreneurship. We want you to be able to leverage your book and use it to create products, services, programs, and initiatives to create multiple streams of income, as well as to create initiatives that will transform lives beyond just selling the book, beyond just reading the book. I'm your host, C. Ruth Taylor, and welcome to the show. If you enjoy the show, we have it on YouTube as well as on regular podcast hosting platforms, and we ask you to subscribe and share it with a friend. Anybody who is interested in writing a book, publishing a book, and want to know how they can do that well, this is a podcast for them, especially if they're doing non-fiction books, and is especially geared towards authors in the Caribbean and the diaspora. So I interview authors in the Caribbean and the diaspora, as well as other experts in the independent publishing or self-publishing space, so that you can get the resources, the tips, the ideas, the knowledge that you need to publish and win with books. And today we are still in summit preparation mode. That's the Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit, which is based on the book Authorpreneur Secrets: Write Fast, Publish Affordably, and Generate Lasting Income. We have been doing this virtual summit, giving our Caribbean authors a place to shine, and they come and share their writing journey as well as the strategies that work for them. And it is free. So there is an interview playlist that you're going to get, and we're going to have free general sessions where you can come in the Authorpreneurs Facebook group and ask your questions, meet the authors. And for the first time this year, we're going to be having a paid session. It's a VIP book marketing session. And you can go to authorpreneursecrets.com to register for that. And I want you to share it with your friends. This year especially, we want to support our libraries. And so we're encouraging you to take your books to your national library and donate books and take a picture as part of the legal deposit and show us. And without further ado, let's get into the interview with Jihan Williams. Today, I have with me Miss Jihan Williams, who is an author, attorney, and social advocate from the beautiful Island Federation of St Kitts and Nevis. She has spent the last 2.5 decades heavily involved in professional and personal activities focused on empowering young people and women through creative arts and civic engagement. And she wrote a book in November 2021. After suffering the devastating loss of her son, after 26 weeks of pregnancy, she turned to writing as her emotional outlet. On the day that would have been her son's first birthday, had he lived, she launched her self-published book, Lifting the Weight of Miscarriage, Healing Insights on Pregnancy Loss for Sufferers and the People Around Us. And readers have described this book as unputdownable, brave, and a practical guide for healing from pregnancy loss. And today we have her on the program because books are not just things or products that we sell, but a book is a perfect platform to bring attention and awareness to a cause that matters to you. And Jian epitomizes that with what she has done with her best-selling book, Lifting the Weight of Miscarriage. Welcome to the show, Jian.
Thank you so much for having me, Ruth. Always a pleasure.
It's good to have you. Now, talk to us. I know you, in your bio, you said that it was an emotional outlet. No, there's writing for personal healing and therapy, and then there's publishing, making this difficult process known and putting yourself out there. Why did you choose to do that?
So it started as the outlet. People constantly asking me how I was feeling and me not having the words. So I challenged myself. I've been writing since I was a very small child. So it's my comfort zone. But I found myself having more and more experiences with people where I noticed that people said very wrong things, or having had experiences where it was clear that people didn't understand the impacts of what they were saying or what they were doing. So then I started writing things that I wish I could tell people about the experience of pregnancy loss. And as I started writing more, and as more women started coming to me because I was visibly pregnant and then I was no longer visibly pregnant. So it was obvious that I had lost a child.
Yeah.
And from there, the more people started coming to me and whispering to me, you know, I lost 2 or I lost 3. Someone told me I lost 7. And you realize that it's really important for us to tell people, those of us who've gone through the experience, there are things that the public needs to know, because clearly it felt like they didn't know. So that's what really pushed me to publish, feeling like there was this gap in information that was just missing from our dialogue, our literature, everything. So that's what that's what really motivated me to publish.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you another question. I remember when I was doing my memoir, at one point I told my publisher not to bother because there were bits and pieces of it that as you write and memories come back and painful memories, you have doubts. It can take a while. Now I wrote it fast, but it took me 9 months to actually get it published and working through the emotions. How was it for you? How long did it take you to write? Was that something challenging for you?
No. It was challenging in the sense that there are some parts of the story that are difficult to recount and recall. For example, there is a chapter in the book about my Mother's Day experience. I wrote that chapter last because it was very difficult for me to go back there and to talk about that experience. So I wrote, you know, the beginning, the end, and then the middle. But I left the most challenging parts for last. But essentially the process took me about, because I was writing as I went along. Remember, it was my outlet. And then I just turned my outlet into something to be published. So the book is the chronicle of the first 6 months after the loss. So after, I think in 8 months, everything was finished. From loss to finished manuscript, 8 months.
Wow. And that's really brave. And as I said, I'm aware of the challenges that persons have in retelling their story, especially if it is painful. So I want to commend you on the bravery and the clarity of thought to be able to just do that and get on with it. My next question is, how have you used the book since it has come out, in terms of, yes, you spoke about there are people who are asking questions and there's a dearth of information as it relates to this. Now that the book is out, what has happened as a result?
So in the intentional things that I did a lot of media announcements and conversations, TV, radio in St Kitts and Nevis. That was intentional. The second thing that was intentional from the very beginning was the book launch. I didn't want a regular book launch. I didn't want to be just me up on a stage talking about the experience. So I thought, let me gather some people who have gone through the experience. Let me gather people who have not gone through the experience. I had a doctor, psychologist, give presentations, pre-recorded presentations. I had a couple that went through loss. I had someone who had not gone through loss, and just have them on the stage talking about the experience. They all read the book before the book launch. So then they also had the opportunity to speak about what the book did for them, and if what clarity it brought them, if it helped them. So I had that first, and then after that panel I spoke and I did an interview. So that's what my book launch looked like. So people walked away with information, not just talking about the book. Then that was the intentional thing. Social media, I've done a website, I've done YouTube pages, done promotional videos. I really wanted to push it, so I've gone far. I think I've done a lot. But then after the book launch, I was contacted by the Ministry of Health in Nevis and said, could you do something similar? So I went to Nevis and I did that. And then I reached out to a friend of mine in Antigua and said, you think this is something people in Antigua would appreciate? And she said, absolutely. So I went to Antigua and I did the same thing. And then as I started getting more visibility, someone from St. Lucia reached out to me and asked me to come and speak at an event. So I went and I spoke at that event. And I said, I'm here in St. Lucia. I have 3 days because I can't get a flight back home immediately. Let me just do another panel discussion and book launch. So I did that in St. Lucia as well. So it's growing on its own organically, but I've been very intentional about getting certain material out, because it's not so much about the book, but more so the information that I want people to know. So as things have been growing, I've been contacted by different people. I've done interviews in Jamaica. I had one up to last week. I've done interviews in, well, of course, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, the US. So there's been a lot of organic growth happening out of it, which I credit all to God. It's because I still don't understand how a lot of these things are happening, but it's growing, and some of it is organic, some of it is very intentional. But I think it was at the last summit, was it Dallin was his name? But the book is You're not a product, but your platform. And it most definitely has been the case for me with that.
I love it, Jian. You're speaking my language, and I wish I could shout it from the mountaintop. You perfectly demonstrated my rationale and what the message I've been trying to say, that your book is a platform. It's the perfect platform to start something or scale something and to bring attention and awareness to something. So often authors are just focused on the book sales, that they miss it. And I love how you were intentional, that basically you had a book launch, but it was like a seminar, and you knew your target audience and that kind of thing. So that is marketing genius. And I wish I could get more authors to understand and look beyond the book sales to say, listen, man, a book opens doors. It gives you wings. It gives you a voice, and it is a platform. People, we are saying, my apreneurs, that a book is not just a product to sell. It is a platform. And so for those who are listening and they want to bring attention and awareness to a cause and to use their book as a platform, what are some of the steps and tips? What would you say to them to be able to do this, apart from the mind shift that, okay, your book is a platform? What should they do?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to believe in your message and believe that it's worthy of being out there. I think once you get past that hurdle, a lot falls into place. So assuming that you believe in your message, then where do you go? I think the first thing that has been really important to me is collaborations. Especially when it comes to finances. So for example, like I mentioned, the Ministry of Health in Nevis invited me. So that was, I didn't have to pay for a venue. They helped me find panelists. Like I had to pay for my accommodation for a night and things like that. But it helps a lot. One, with cost, and two, with networks. So you really have to tap into people who are doing work similar to what you're doing, and it will help you to get more reach and more visibility as well. The third thing, I have a challenge with creating content and staying consistent. I will be upfront about that. But that is something that I've had to push myself to constantly find ways to have people engage with me on social media, and to really make it relevant to people just passing by or whatever the case is. So that is something that I think people can do as well. Pick out pieces of your book that are shareable. Think about quotes, think about posts, think about blogs. I have a blog. I again, not consistent, but I'm working on that. So I'm a work in progress, but those are the things that have worked for me. I met someone recently who told me, oh yes, I saw your website. And I was thinking, why am I spending money to go do a website? But people watch and people pay attention to these things, and they believe in your authenticity and your expertness, for want of a better word, when they see that there is an actual website dedicated to you. So that has also been good. But I think first and foremost, and above all, you need to believe in your message and be willing to take risks. I've spent more money than I've made. But I'm comfortable with that because I believe it's going to pay off in the long run. So try to think about ways to cut costs, but you want to put out a product that is top class.
I love that. Believe in your message. You want to be professional, put out a product that is top class, and network. Together, yes, everyone achieves more. And so what's your final word to someone else, a pregnancy loss sufferer, who perhaps is thinking of doing something similar? And they may be saying, oh, but she wrote her story. Nobody may want to hear my story. What
No,
would
no,
be
no,
your
no, no.
encouragement to them if they're thinking of
No.
publishing their story?
And I've had that. I've had people say that to me. And I encourage everybody's story is different. I lost my son at 6.5 months in pregnancy, but that experience is still different to somebody who lost it earlier or somebody who went full term and then lost it. The experience might be different with depending on where you are located. So it's not something that you could say, oh, these things already exist, so let me not try. How many romance novels do we have? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I think one of the reasons why people suffer in the Caribbean so much with pregnancy loss is because it's so hushed and we don't talk about it. So we really want to have as many voices as possible. Our stories are not the same, so it just add yours. It doesn't take away anything. And if people have more options in the market, all the better for us who are really focused on teaching people to heal and helping people heal.
I love that. And that can help in so many different ways. So Jian, we want to thank you for coming to the show and dropping so many gems on us. Now, for those who want to get in touch with you, you mentioned your website and all of that. How can we do that? Where can we find you?
So my website is jihanwilliams.com, Jihan Williams.com. I'm also on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Jihan, Jian A. Williams. So Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You could also find me. Or there's also Let's Chat at jihanwilliams.com. Or just send me a message on social media. I'm pretty active on social media.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to the Q&A session and what is going to come out of that at the Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit in 2023.
Can't wait.
All right. I trust that you enjoyed that interview, and I'm looking forward to having you at the Authorpreneur Summit on January 20 to 21. This is Ruth Taylor reminding you to pen it to win it and dominate entrepreneurship. Ta for now, until next time.